want to start with the beer? Or do you want to start with the bourbon?
Probably start with the bourbon.
Pour it up. Let's get that going.
This is the
Doesn't matter which
Okayest
one.
Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, if that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Yo. This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. We're in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. For those that don't know, for those that do know, or don't, try to say Oconomowoc. If you're not from here, can you say it?
Oconomowoc.
Oh, shit, you got us. You're from Minnesota, so you can say those kind of words.
I got it.
Well, thanks for tuning in each and every week, or even if you can't. I know some people like going stretches. Every time I run into something like, sorry, I don't watch the live one. I'm like, it's not a big deal. I don't expect that when I see people in the real world. I'm like, you've been watching the podcast. It's no big deal.
You better be tuning in.
Better be tuning up every week. You know, I expect you to call in. But this is a live call-in show, so I do try to communicate that every so frequently because I don't know that everyone knows that. We have a hotline or a call queue. Phone lines are hot. It's 262-757-4122, only from the duration of time from 6 p.m. Central Standard Time to 7 p.m. or whenever we end the show. If you call that number any other time, it's a dead phone line. It's only up or we're up. So just a heads up there. And I do have caller ID. So if you want a prank call, I'll just report your number as you're a pedophile or something to the authorities. And then maybe you won't call in anymore. I think we threatened someone that once and they stopped calling. It was pretty great. I do welcome contextual prank callers if you're kind of funny. We had a guy in Florida calling us all the time. He's funny. So that was neat. We are brought to you by Nosler. Check out Nosler.com. Use code OHP to save yourself 20% off on their ammunition. We did give a bunch away at Foam Fest. We talked about Foam Fest last week when Greg and Derek were in studio. I think that was a big success. We did raise money for the Horkenmarsh Archers. We raised money for through BHA, the Wisconsin chapter, and then we donated some of those proceeds, 10% of those proceeds to Waukesha County Land Conservancy, and that was all verified or will be verified through 2% for conservation. So all around, people helping people is pretty powerful stuff. And other partners of the show, you can see not on the screen because I didn't put that on the screen apparently. Let me change that so I can do my job. Is that on the screen? There we go. So we got Latitude, who is dropping a ton of new products, which we've been talking about for a long time. It's now finally here, so you can check those guys out and see everything they have going on. They just dropped their new pack, new platform, some new Realtree camouflage patterns for their saddles. Like, they got it going on. So I have the Lone Star. I've yet to get into it, and I have the Maverick, and I've yet to get into it, although other people got to get into it at Foam Fest, which is the big push for me getting that in time, is so people could try it out other than me. And Spartan Forge, I feel like their Cyber Scout has been out for a while. Maybe I had special access. I don't really know, but it's out. So it's on the web app. I don't know how to find on the phone if that's a thing or not, but it's basically a chat GPT, but with like a pretty snarky conservative right-wing bend to it. So it'll tell you how to build your AR rifle. It'll tell you like how to get your bows tuned up for a certain front of center, if you're going elk hunting, if you're transitioning from whitetail, all the stuff that I don't think ChatGPT would even know what the hell it means. Not to mention it doesn't have the sense of humor. So check that out in addition to everything else that those guys do over there. Great mapping application, whitetail movement prediction, they're like all sorts of stuff. Rack Hub, friends of ours. If you look behind Jace, who we'll get to in a minute here as our guest, you can see there's an antler mounted on the wall. That is an RH1. They also have an RH2, and you would think that an RH2 is 2 antlers. So if you want to find some unique ways to decorate your home in places that maybe you couldn't put a mount, then it's worth checking those guys out. You use code OHP. They have been releasing very specific, they're calling them drops. So very specific product types that are limited run and really pretty cool. So they also just dropped something where you can put their ball joint mechanism into like a deer mount. So you can swap out antlers if you wanted to, reposition them, move them around. Really pretty neat product. So they are working with some taxidermists as well. Overall, just very like, what's what I'm looking for here? If you're a really good engineer, ingenuity.
It's dynamic.
Yeah, it's just cool.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on over there. So that, and I think I got everybody. I mean, Muck Boot is a partner of ours. They're on the screen, and their boots are incredible. They actually did a great job helping out at Foam Fest. They gave everyone 20% off. That was in attendance. Well, so did Spartan Forge. They give everyone 6 months free membership. So I mean, all of our partners were great at Foam Fest. And Bear Archery gave away a couple of bows. So I think that's everybody that's partnered with us. I don't know why brands partner with us, because I feel like I do a bad job calling that stuff out. But we've worked with Bear for, I think, 3 years now. Muck is fairly new for us, but so far to date, they've been incredible working with us. We've really enjoyed their partnership. Been working with Latitude since 2019, Spartan Forge since 2019, and Nosler. We've been working with them for a little over a year, informally on the podcast within the last, like, whatever it is, 9 months. So these are long-standing relationships because we trust these companies, these brands, and the people that work there. And hopefully y'all do too. So just pay them some love and respect, and share a wallet and use our code. So that way they know that people actually listen to our show. That's about it. Anyway, we are here in studio with Jace. Derek is doing dropping pins tonight, so he's recording his own episodes for that. And Greg is traveling like a maniac, so he needs time to like not do this for a minute. He's a busy dude. So we got Jace. Jace is you guys may have seen Jace on a different episode in the past, virtually, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You've also probably seen him or heard about him on the Okayest Hunter show. Jace Martinetto, thanks for being here.
It's always a pleasure.
You how long have I known you now? Like 2.5 years? 3?
Yeah, we actually met right here.
That's right.
2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, I can't remember what it was now. Well, we're on season 2 of Okayest Hunter, so that would be...
But there's a lag, right?
There was a little lag.
Well, they're just in general. Like, season 2 was filmed last year, so...
Correct.
Yeah,
we're probably looking at 3 years.
Yeah.
So...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're the producer and videographer, for the Okayest Hunter show.
Okayest Hunter, and yeah. I mean, I don't even know where to start as far as all the irons I've had in the fire lately.
Yeah, so you've gone through some big changes recently.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we'll just back up a little bit, and I know you had an energy drink, so your heart's pounding out of your chest. I'm like,
I'm well caffeinated. Yeah.
Oh, look at Keegan's in here. He said, "You must be old." I think you're younger than I am.
I am. Yeah, 31.
Oh, you're way younger than me. I'm 38.
You're just hitting your stride.
Yeah, and you're just a young buck.
Yeah, I got a lot to learn. Yeah.
Well, so you were a landscaper.
I was.
Went to school for videography.
Yep.
How did you get into this shit, dude? And let's just kind of like unwind it and get to where you are present day, which is with Jake Break Hollow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, went down to Ohio, took the Film the Hunt class, kind of got my start there. Tom and Nick, the guys that put on the class, they're also the producers of the TV show Become One. They kind of helped me get my foot in the door. They gave me some experience and then hooked me up with a couple different opportunities. And somewhere along the lines, I crossed paths with, I had a phone call with Brian Tashler, who is the owner of Jake Break Hollow, and had a nice, like, 2.5 hour long conversation with him right out of the gates. And we kind of saw an opportunity to make kind of a fun TV show. And that's kind of what led us to now. We're making this big shift, this big move from Duluth, Minnesota, right on down to Auburn, West Virginia, which is where the Jake Break Hollow farm is and where the TV show is based out of. So that's kind of like the fast-forwarded version of it all, because I also, within all of that, I also produced a show called The Wild Race for a little bit. I was filming for Freddie Hartice out in Colorado. I used to go spend the month of September out there. We'd be filming elk hunts out there, and he's got a world-class hunting operation out there, and kind of a fun TV show that's based around the operations of the ranch and everything. And So I'd be out there in September filming that. And then in the meantime, I was, kind of working in Jake Break Hollow and Okayest Hunter, and over, leading up to now, you two are the main priorities of, as far as my production work goes. So
That's a lot of stuff to juggle and balance.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think from an audience perspective, I don't know, we got people are going to, there's a lot of self-filming that goes on in the Whitetail Woods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in self-filming
because you do great.
I just, it's just another thing to do, and I don't need more things to do because I will fail at the first thing I'm trying to do. Like, it's just not going to go well. But I think that's kind of how I was like, well, can you just film me? Like, if I turn a camera on, I get really awkward. But when a human is behind the camera, it's still awkward, but just a little less.
Sure.
Because I've talked to you guys, like, I don't think I'm supposed to do that. So then I get really I'm like, can I tell you stuff? And you're like, you just nod. Like, yeah, of course, whatever. But how much did you have to invest in your camera gear? And was that out of your own pocket? Was that part of like your tuition? Did you like, I imagine when you go to automotive school and you have to go into the workforce and you buy a bunch of Snap-on tools and a tool, you're taking out a fucking loan or something.
Yeah.
This feels similar. Like you have to equip yourself with the tools of the trade.
Mm-hmm. Well, I ultimately, okay, so I got my start because I actually had a podcast at the time called Out Your Back Door Podcast. And I got the crazy idea, I'm going to buy a camera and I'm going to start filming it, similar to what you do here. And so I bought this cheap little setup, and I told my wife, I'm like, I'm going to take this thing, going to go just kind of explore around with it and put it to work, get used to the camera and everything. And I came back from that outing and I was like, oh, I don't want to do the podcast. I want to do this. So ended up, that setup was like a $600 setup, paid for that out of pocket. Went down to the class. I asked Tom, hey, am I going to look like a fool if I go film with this setup? And he was like, no, like, it's more so your ability to run it professionally and everything else. And so I did. I ran it for a little bit and I saved up a little bit of money, and I kind of hit a point where, like, I don't know. I was ready to make the next step, and ultimately I couldn't do it. I ended up getting a little bit of help from my parents and bought a R6, and that was a pretty good investment. That kind of brought me into the professional
now
camera
you're like, well,
realm.
now I got to do this.
Yeah, but then from there, that camera opened up a lot of opportunities for me because I was able to, charge accordingly for both the gear and my experience by that time, and it started to kind of pay itself off. I started to get better, microphones, because the next thing in, the production world after you get a perfect image, or, the best image you can get, is trying to master the best audio. So I got some nice lenses. I got, everything I needed. A long lens for reaching out and getting some deer moving in. I had a short lens for inside the vehicles and when we're walking out to the blinds and stuff like that. So I had my lenses. I was set up there. I ended up getting some better audio stuff. And then, over time, I guess, to answer your question, I did pay for pretty much everything out of pocket, but it was kind of a progression of
you invested in
steps.
yourself. And
yep.
That's pretty bold. I mean, that's very entrepreneurial. Do you consider yourself, like, had you thought of yourself as an entrepreneur? Like, you thought, I'm going to go learn how to do videography.
Yeah.
Did the dots connect that you would then be your own proprietor, or were you like, no, someone's going to hire me, I'm going to do this work? Like,
so it's kind of in my blood, honestly. My brother, well, let's start with my dad. He's a contractor, has been for a long time, his whole life. He kind of had to learn the craft, and then he learned how to be a businessman and kind of run everything on his own, and he, though worked for other people in the process, for most of his life has been his own boss. So that was kind of the start of it. My brother Bill, he's the owner of Rapids Brewing Company in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and he went to school for business. He kind of just jumped all in with it right out of the gates. My other brother, he went to be a taxidermist, and he learned the craft, and then he learned how to be a businessman. My sister, same thing, learned how to cut hair, and then learned how to be a businesswoman, and it finally trickled down to me. And
So you're the
I
baby
learned the
of
craft
family?
and I learned the business side. So
Are you the baby of the family?
no, there's one. I have a younger sister. My parents started with a girl and ended with a girl, and then had 3 boys in the middle.
5
So,
of you. Did the
yep.
boys fight a lot?
Uh,
I'm asking for very personal reasons.
yeah. Not too bad. You know, brotherly love, but not too bad. My little sister and I probably gotten the most fights, but we were the closest in age and everything. So yeah. And I was the youngest boy. She was the youngest girl. There was always that little competition. So, but no, the boys, we got along fairly well. We've always been pretty supportive of one another. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, there's hope for me after all. So I'm asking. So that's cool. So then you've been doing this entrepreneurial thing for a while. Like when we engaged with you,
Yep.
I met you through the Wild Race because
Mhm.
Jessica was a guest on the show. You came here in the studio and recorded that. I think our podcast made it onto her TV show on the Pursuit channel or the Sportsman's channel, one of the two.
That season would have been on the Pursuit channel.
Pursuit.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, I don't remember. I think it worked out because you were down here a bunch filming for her, and she's in
Yep.
Wisconsin, so it made sense to kind of like, oh, well, 2 birds, 1 stone. If I'm gonna be down there, sure, I can probably run cameras for you guys
Yep.
as long as I'm working around that schedule. And I didn't know. I was like, hey, we want to do this office style deer hunting show, and it all clicked. And I think it made sense. Like we're here. I don't know. People can comment. Are you watching season 2? If you watched season 1, like let us know what you think.
Yeah.
But then I had heard a lot of mention of this Jake Break Hollow.
Yep.
Which sounds really cool. Then I saw their logo get changed. I'm like, well, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I'm doing so much of these guys. And so then we brought in some extra help on running cameras last season with Keegan and one of Keegan's buddies. And now this year we're maybe going to even do some more stuff.
Yep.
Internish style. And you're kind of like going out of entrepreneurship and into it's still very entrepreneurial, what you're doing.
It is.
But so yeah, talk about the big move. Like that's a big fucking move, man.
Yeah.
Like you're moving across the country on you're placing a bet, a good one. I think it's a safe bet.
Yeah.
I forgot to send the damn link. I knew that was gonna happen, man. And now I can't. The way it works is like it doesn't work. Oh wait, hold on, learn more. How do I do it? Platform, reply, ready. I don't know what to do. It just says, sorry, I'm distracting all of us here.
Okay, I was just updating Jake.
Yeah, no, I can't post messages. I don't know. Now I've lost my opportunity, I think. Oh, wait. Maybe there's an opportunity. Now I'm just sucking the whole podcast. I'm taking the windows.
We've been having issues since the moment I walked in the door. So
yeah,
it's probably my bad luck that I brought.
That's just how I roll. I'm just an idiot.
This is Okayest Hunter, you know.
No, like the link flashes on the screen the moment I go live, and if I don't grab it right away, then guests can add the stream to their channel. How do I do that? So guests can add channels to the stream? I don't know what that means. Well, you're not bro, I don't know. Forget it. I'm sorry, guys. Don't worry about me. Oh, wait, what's this copy? No, that's an invite link. All right, well, who knows? I wish I knew how to deal with that. And you think I would, but sorry, guys. Anyway, so now you're making
tell them no link.
Yeah, no link. Eric fucked it up. Sorry for swearing. I know you got kids in the car, some of you. So my bad. My wife would be yelling at me. She probably is right now.
She is
watching it.
Yeah.
So you're moving across the country.
Yeah.
To do what exactly? And explain to us who is Jake Break Hollow, because the who is important because of like the people make that up, but what is it?
Right.
And what are you going to be doing?
Sure. So your original question, the entrepreneurial side of it, yes, you know, I'm taking kind of this big shift where I've, for the past 5 years, been developing a company called Martinetto Media LLC, which that company did weddings, family photos, you know, producing the outdoor.
What people need to do in this category.
Right. I had a camera. I saw opportunities. These are the services I was providing. When I first started, wherever I could get an opportunity to run the camera, I did. And I would add that to the portfolio, and that would become a service that I was being able to provide via my website and social media and everything else. So over the last 4 or 5 years I've been developing that, and we had some steady clients like yourself, Jake Break Hollow, Freddie, and then the weddings and everything else. We had some steady work going. Everything was looking good. The big goal for me was to eventually be able to find one of these, I don't even know. It was always to try to find something that we could go big with, right? And when I had the conversation with Brian, again, Brian Tashler, he's the owner of Jake Break Hollow. I was driving across Michigan. I was actually filming a wild race episode out there, and have this conversation with him, and he goes, "Hey, we have this really funny group of guys, and we're all, we're just fun rednecks. We hang out in West Virginia. I have this farm. We also go all over the country, and we do all these different hunts throughout the year, but we're not really like trophy hunters per se. We just like to have fun. We like to go out. We like to just enjoy the hunt, and the shooting of the deer is kind of the bonus. And ultimately, I want to show that group dynamic and how fun just this group of guys can be. And I want to kind of display it in a way. He kind of paused. He's like, "You ever watch the show Duck Dynasty?" I'm like, "Yeah." And something clicked in that moment, because I was like, okay, so he's kind of referencing Duck Dynasty. That's a pretty big production, and from that moment forward, he started saying all the right things. Brian was a very successful businessman and retired at a pretty young age, and his vision was to basically pay for a few hands to work on this farm that he bought in West Virginia, and pay some of his best friends to have kind of roles that would ultimately help the development of the property, and all these little irons that he had in the fire. And I guess he at the end of the day, he basically wanted to make a TV show about just living the good life of the outdoors, everything that went into that, from the food plots to the just shenanigans in camp. He has this awesome grilling area in this massive, he has this huge, like 60 by 60 garage, and it's full of toys, and he's got all this memorabilia in there from different past hunts and everything. And one of the corners, he's got this cooking area. We all lounge in there and just hang out. And Andrew, one of the group members, he's always whipping up dogs and whatever on the grill and whatnot. But basically, he wanted to document all this stuff, and when we finished up that conversation, we kind of both knew that this was going to go somewhere. I had the skill set to be able to, film this, document it, make it into something entertaining. And he was going to be able to provide the funding and the gear and all the, everything else, all the missing pieces of the puzzle to be able to make a high quality TV show. So anyway, lead up to now, Brian was just a client of mine. He was another regular account with Martinetto Media LLC. And this year we hit the ground running with so many different things. I mean, when I say so many different things, I'm talking like TV show wise, but also how can we offer other, services to other people in the industry, and how can we put what we already have in the works, how can we put that to work on a bigger level? And, he kind of put this opportunity in my lap that, hey, why don't we go full time with this, to where you can focus all your attention on building and developing the brand Jake Break Hollow. That would entail the TV show, the production company. Eventually we're going to be working in some tourism into the area, and build content for the TV show and the social medias and everything else. He put this awesome opportunity in my lap, and I couldn't say no, and because ultimately what it did is, sure, it cut out these other business opportunities like Martinetto Media LLC. Won't be able to do the weddings and all of that, but now I can focus 100% of the attention on this outdoor production stuff. So that benefits everybody that's been involved so far with the outdoor production stuff on the Martinetto Media LLC side, yourselves being included in that, because what I'm able to do now is, with Brian's funding and with his, all the opportunities that he's giving me, we're going to be able to work with better software, better, editing things. I'm going to be able to do further education courses and keep developing my skill at a rate that I wouldn't have been able to do with Martinetto Media LLC. Yep. And then furthermore, we're able to then take all of that skill set and all of the higher end gear that I probably wouldn't have been able to afford as well, and then offer that production quality to people like yourself. And so this opportunity,
I'm going to have to thank Brian as well.
Yeah, right. It'll come around. Yeah, for sure. But, so yeah, it's hard to step away from the entrepreneurial stuff and all the work that I've put into Martinetto Media. But at the end of the day, this is an opportunity that, I could take Jake Break Hollow, I could take Okayest Hunter, and we could do magnificent things where, before I had to put my attention towards all these other little side projects and everything else that I had going on. Now it's full, full steam ahead with what we have in the works.
How does that feel to be able to go full, like, because you kind of went full tilt in your own thing, but then you had to like piece it all out and take these scraps and those scraps because now you have to make ends meet.
Right.
This is interesting because it's a similar feeling, but now you have the horsepower to like make the car go, and that could be intimidating for some people. Like, oh, let's see what you're really made out of. Here's all the stuff you need. Like, shit. All right. Well, now I know I've been saying I wanted this stuff for years, but now I really have. Like, to me, that would be intimidating. It'd be exciting, but intimidating. You put you on the spot here. I don't know.
No, I'm very ready to just put the pedal to the metal. Like it feels so good to have, just that. I don't even know what to call it. Not a safety net, because runway, like we still have to make, we still have to we still have to make money in this process. It's not like
right.
So, but it's like you get that tingling all throughout your body. It's like you're ready to freaking go for it. It's like I'm going into war and I'm just ready to take it on, and it, I don't know. It feels like the, all sheets to the wind that I needed. You know what I mean? Like it's a very freeing thing. It allows my creativity to work in completely different ways because there's a level of stress that's off of me, financially and everything else. There's, just it's wild, the ideas that I've been having and like knowing the reality that I'm going to be able to make them happen too, so it allows me to dream on a way bigger level. Dude, I'm like shaking. This bang energy is wild. Okay, so I stopped that freaking Quick Trip.
You pulled a knee. Don't do that, bro. Like I can probably have like two of those things.
I stopped at Quick Trip on the way here like an hour and a half before the show, and I was like, I'm gonna just get a bang energy, a little pick me up, because it's later in the day. I'm gonna do this podcast, and I'm on my way over here. And have you seen that Chris Farley skit where he's like the van down by the river?
Oh yeah.
And he walks up and he's like, I've been drinking coffee all day at a van. That's exactly how I felt when I walked in here. So bang energy really does it. That's like the hard stuff in the energy drink
world. It really is. Yeah. I had 3 cups of coffee this morning and a bubbler drink in the afternoon. And then I had one of those like prime energy drinks. Only it's like a thing it's called Liquid IV.
Yeah.
And now I'm just steady. Like, it's a different thing for me, man. I think my I redline where most people probably just rev.
You're like,
or like my rev is where my idle is other people's redline.
Right.
That's what I meant to say.
When I'm 38, I'll probably have that same caffeine experience.
31, I could have done more. I probably did. And I try to stay off a little bit. I had a Red Bull at 10 o'clock the other night, and people were like, bold move, Cotton. I'm like, it was a little bold, but I had a lot of shit to get done. I was up till 2.
Yeah.
Fucking, you wouldn't have known. Like, it was like the middle of a fucking work day for me. I'm like,
it's wild.
Let's just keep going. Shit's got to get done.
We got to go.
This is what it is. So Buckslayer just commented here.
Yeah.
He said, I don't watch TV. Can I watch it somewhere else? And this is something that I've challenged you guys on, because even when the Wild Race was here, I was like, even with your login, Jessica, I can't figure this shit out.
Right.
And I'd like call Spectrum, and they're like, well, if you want this channel, you got to buy the bundle. And if you want the bundle, then you got to pay an extra $50. I'm like, fuck this. I'm out. For those reasons, I'm out. Like, I had one TV guy on, I can't think of his name right now. He's been around for a while. He's been doing stuff for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Something breaking point? No, that's not right. Doesn't matter right now. If it comes to me, great. But he's the personality, the main personality. Hundreds of thousands of followers on social, all this stuff. He's like, bro, I don't even have cable. I'm like, you don't even have access to this, the very thing that is your livelihood?
Yep.
The cutting cord scenario that's taking place.
Yep.
Not in just this industry, but everywhere. Like, I think it's they get their views at by like let's just run on it in infinite mode at BW3s or the local tavern, and it's just always on, so people see it, but there's no audio. Packer games are on, or Viking games, or whatever, whatever your team is. So they're like, oh no, look at all these views we get, and I'm like, well, are people actually watching it? Because I would love to, but I can't.
Right.
So how is that going to work? And I know we've made some intros for you, so I'm curious to hear where that's going.
Yeah, we so just finished season 1, which aired on Pursuit Channel. Okay,
which is, you have to have the package.
You got to have the you got to. It comes standard on some cable packages, not on others. Some dish pack. It's pretty sporadic, but
I'll stop for 2 seconds.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to insert another question sandwich here.
Yep.
Even to put content on that platform, you have to pay.
Yes.
A pretty penny, I imagine. I don't need to know the answer to that unless you feel like you could.
Sure.
And like, does the content that you're producing have to meet a certain threshold of quality? Like, you can't just like run it with your iPhone. Like, here's our show.
Right.
Take our money. Like, I'm sure there's. So then you can continue on. I'm sorry.
No, you. So yes, you have to meet a certain quality standard. Like we have to send in an example, and the process just goes. They take a look at it, they approve it. They kind of send over some packages like air times and different slots that they have. The more premium of a slot, the more money you have to pay, and then ultimately you get a certain amount of commercial slots as well, which you can sell to sponsors and everything else. So. Long story short, once they approve you pay for your slot, whatever you want to air, and then it's kind of off to the races. So they have the content for 90 days, I believe. And how it works is season 1 will air through, or aired.
Is 3 months,
right?
Which is basically Q4 when people give a shit.
Quarter 2 was when we aired, and once that finishes, which it's obviously over now, then it starts airing on the Pursuit Up app, which is 100% free. If you go into the App Store or whatever phone app devices you have, go in. If you just search Pursuit Up, it'll pop up. And then if you download it and you search Jake Break Hollow, then it will pop up. And I can't remember what episode it's on right now, but that kind of airs in a weekly manner, just like it would on the network.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then people can tune in for free on the Pursuit Up app. And then once it's done airing there, we get the content back, and then we can do YouTube and our website and everything else, and we can blast it all over digital world. And basically, it'll always be Pursuit Channel first, and then once it's done there, we can blast it all over digital world. So, which is fun because we're coming up on that portion right now. Like, we're getting to a point where, we could have been cutting up and like promoting the episode in a lot of different ways on social media, but now we can actually get full-length stuff out there in digital world. And we've been talking to Waypoint, or Carbon TV.
Waypoint's another one.
And well, we have been talking to Waypoint too, but we're just trying to find places for it to live ultimately. Once we do get the right to put it wherever we want again. So so and right now our social media, it's just at Jake_break_hollow, which is our Instagram. That's where we have the most attention and followers, and that's where we keep people most up to date. And then whatever we can mirror onto Facebook, we do that as well. So, and really once we get all this content back and we're ready, or we can do whatever we want with it, it's going to be fun to start dipping into all these different realms that, you guys focus entirely digitally. So you have a real firm grasp on it, but we're still in such a testing out phase of the show and the company and everything else that it's going to be fun to start testing waters and seeing what takes and what gets attention and what doesn't. And I don't know, that's going to be a fun thing to start playing around with.
No, I'm excited and enthused for it. And obviously, because I'm just bought into You as a Human, and I got to meet Brian and Jake, and like, it's been really cool to see it all kind of starting to blossom.
Yeah.
And happy to be as helpful as we can, which is one of the reasons you're one of the several reasons you're in studio tonight.
Yeah, totally.
Among, like I said, many. I don't know. It's exciting, dude. What about the property? Like, what's a hollow? Why is it called Jake Break Hollow? I want to go there. I know.
So,
I'm telling you to tell the audience.
You asked me before about,
I'm all over the map.
What this new opportunity presents to me, and I was saying that it allows me to dream big and also understand that I have the ability to make that happen. Like the reality is just a completely different world than what I was currently in. I just stepped into such a different realm that, and the property and the hollow, and I mean, that's kind of where a lot of the dreaming begins. So I mentioned Brian was a pretty successful businessman, and he bought this property and everything, and it's an incredible property. It's a set of properties, actually. So Jake Break Hollow is essentially 3,000 acres tucked into the hills of West Virginia, and it's a magnificent place. I don't know. Like, we watch the show, and every time I finish an episode, I bring up, whatever. I show my wife, and the thing she's always commenting on is like, "Oh, look at how pretty it is." Like, is it actually that pretty in person? I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's awesome." So it's and what they are a lot of them are historical properties. When I say historical, like there's buildings on them that were late 1800s, early 1900s. Some of these
all haunted.
They are. Oh yeah, 100%. You can sense it, dude. There's ghosts everywhere. Yeah. But I mean, it's Appalachia at its finest. Okay. I mean, it's not big mountains, but it's the hills and hollows, like exactly like what you would envision. If you've ever been to like bluff country down in like the driftless region of Wisconsin or Minnesota, it's similar to that, but on like a grander scale. Okay. So like all these little river valleys, and there's water running everywhere, but except for this year where it's dry as hell.
Yeah.
It's
my front lawn's dead here.
Yeah, it's they've been having some serious water issues down there this year, but
does it look like I would figure any like Civil War movie battle scene would look like?
Pretty much,
like
yeah.
Gettysburg. I'm reading a book right now called First Principles.
Yeah.
By Thomas Ricks. It's what America's founders learned from the Greeks and Romans and how they shaped our country.
Yeah.
Wow. Chronologically done. I've just been listening to a chapter all about George Washington.
Yeah.
And so my mind's going right to these battlefields.
It's,
and that's kind of where a lot of this, like they talk about the colleges that were over there, like what's something in Mary College? I can't think of that one. And doesn't matter. Forget. Just tell me to shut the hell up and move on. It's got a maple leaf for a logo. What is that one? What is that?
I do not know.
I think it's like Mary College maple leaf. What is that one, dude? I'm so stupid.
Do you want to know what you need? You need a Jamie.
I do, dude. I need. What is that? West Coast. I gotta no, that's the East Coast. What is that? William and Mary? Is that it? Dude, that's it. I think it's William and Mary. William and Mary. I'm like, what's his name? Freaking Theo Von. He just says weird shit.
Have you seen that clip of him and Pauly Shore? It's so funny.
1693 is when this college was.
That's bizarre,
dude. So they're talking about these rundown buildings.
Yeah,
and how like
it feels old.
Weren't even that much older than the students because that's how fresh everything. A lot of them were like from Scotland. Coming over from those universities, and like the teachers were in the rides right alongside the students because they're all the same damn age.
Yeah.
Could just imagine the parties that went on over there.
Right.
So when you're talking with the buildings and the property, my mind's of course I'm going to this damn book.
It feels old. Like even the land, right? The Appalachian Mountains are a receding mountain line. So
interesting.
They're some of the oldest mountains in the United States. So they might be the oldest. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a professional.
Let's get who's our what is that? What's
we need a Jamie. Yeah.
Come on, Jamie. Who's the Jamie in our crowd?
Right.
Usually the listeners that are on
who's
live
Googling?
will be doing this research and putting in the comments for us.
That's hilarious.
Is it hollow or holler? It's hollow.
Hollow. I mean, it depends on who's saying it. If it's somebody from there, it's probably holler. Yeah. But they're old and the land around it is old. The buildings are old. The bridges are old. What's cool is the architecture. Like you can see, the places that we're using stone. It's all hand carved stuff. It's all hand chiseled. It's pretty cool.
A lot of history.
the town of Auburn itself is a really interesting place. Like, you kind of sense, a big level of poverty, but people are insanely happy. It's there's not like an association of poverty being a negative thing. It's like just a community of people that enjoy, kind of the rural life. And dude, there's like more side by sides rolling around than vehicles, and that's like the honest truth. You see more side by sides than vehicles some days.
Sounds
And
like a small town anywhere in this country.
yeah, and it's hardly a town. There's not a post, like there was a post office. There's not anymore. You got to drive like a half hour away to send a letter. So it's
Not even a post office. Damn.
it's right along, like I said, there's a lot of water. When it rains, like the water kind of runs down, and there's just creeks and rivers everywhere. This is really good whiskey, by the way.
This is really good. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is Chris Stapleton's whiskey. I figured. I didn't know that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Afterwards, the Traveler.
Brian's a big Stapleton fan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty smooth. Pretty smooth as. Well, he
But-
doesn't sing that song, does he? Yeah, he does. Smooth as Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah.
Is that Chris Stapleton?
I believe so.
Smooth as
I'm a
Tennessee
big,
whiskey. Here we are.
I'm a
Like,
big
this is-
bluegrass guy, so don't fully quote me on it.
Yeah, well, remember when I got the song wrong?
Yeah.
In the show, you're like semisonic in the
I don't
on
think
the
it's
screen.
Green Day, dude.
I was like, no, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah.
You were so confident, so I was like, okay, maybe I'm totally
I'm
wrong
confidently
here.
wrong a lot, but I've learned confidence. Just you could be wrong and right, or you could be wrong. Shit, you could be right and not confident.
Yeah.
And some I believe the wrong confident person, which is how I was taught to be confident.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of confidence. Now I'm probably a little shit most of the time.
So let me get back to the hollow
Yeah.
real quick.
Thank you.
So I'll kind of paint the image. The first time I pulled in, it was kind of funny because Brian was like, you have 4-wheel drive, right? yeah, I got 4-wheel drive. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna meet you, an hour away at this gas station on the interstate, and you'll just follow me in because there's there's no cell service. I can't really send you a pin because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and you might get a little confused out there. So I'm thinking like middle of nowhere, like Wisconsin, Minnesota, middle of nowhere, which obviously
thing,
it's definitely a thing. But we have like the straight roads, and like, a lot of time, even if you get on the forestry roads when they're a little windy, like you typically know what direction you're going and whatnot. Dude, it's a totally different game down there. So I met him at this gas station, and we start rolling away from civilization, right? Yeah, it's kind of funny because like when we tell people to come down, we do that. Everyone's like, "Where are you taking us,
Follow
man?"
me, boy. We're gonna take you real deep into the.
We're going deep in the hollow.
That reminds me of my trip to Nicaragua. I was like, we're just gonna get in this fucking dude's car. Like, we might be getting murdered here. I don't know.
Here we go.
See what happens. Good thing we've been working out.
That's right. So we're driving away from civilization and hardwood, maples and willows and all of that, similar again to the River Bluff region, and all these big hills all around us, and we're winding our way back, and I have no idea where we're at, and pretty soon we turn off of the main road, then we're onto a smaller road, and then we're on a dirt road, which is then like more or less a 4-wheeler trail, which kind of goes through some people's yard, and it feels like you're like totally trespassing. And then eventually you're kind of again in the middle of nowhere, and you take a look around, and you're down in this valley, the hollow, and there's a creek running alongside the road. There's all these beautiful hardwoods up on the hillsides, and Brian is really big on keeping wildlife around. So there's, deer and turkeys and squirrels and woodchucks and everything as you're rolling in. And then he loves the songbirds, so he's got feeders and stuff. So there's songbirds everywhere. It's like this outdoor little heaven, and you're driving, and you're in first gear, just putzing your way up because that's all you can do because the road is so, it's a 4-wheeler trail, and then you round the last corner, and wham, there's the garage, there's the house, there's the property, that's the hollow, and that's tucked as far back into that valley as you possibly could be before you start going up onto the ridge. And he owns both sides of that for the most part, and a lot of other land around it. And then, I mean, the property itself, like I said, it's got this gigantic garage on it. It's full of toys. It's like the most perfect man cave you've ever witnessed, right? He's got a walk-in cooler so we can have, you know, beverages and everything else. We have kind of a little like deli station, deli cooler. So you lift this lid up and there's like meat, cheese, and little condiments.
Jeez, man, it's like Subway.
It looks pretty much like an outdoorsman Subway, yeah. And and that's kind of the gist of the property. The house is you know, just this decent little place that it's enough to be, you know, as homey as it is, right? It's like the perfect halfway between like a rustic hunting camp and like just a completely normal house. So it's a nice little happy medium. The garage is definitely the highlight, and then, you know, we've got several Polaris side by sides in there. Jake has one, he has one, Andrew has one. And then he's got a couple extras because some guys visit and they go hunt around and whatnot. And yeah, so he's got everybody equipped with a way to get around the properties. And then he's got, you know, his everything else. You know, he's got the farming equipment so that the guys can take care of the properties and do the food plots and everything else. And yeah, I mean, it's an outdoorsman's haven. It really is.
That's cool. How many acres?
3,000, roughly 3,000. I don't know. The dude's mysterious. So sometimes like he just comes out of nowhere and he's like, oh, let me show you this property I just bought. So we out on a ride and we just cut off into this random trail and up the ridge line we go. And this is sweet. All right. another place to hunt, you know.
Everything the light touches.
Yeah.
Is yours to hunt.
Exactly.
Does Jake need any new friends? Tony just asked.
Yeah, right.
I mean, any listener of this podcast is a friend of theirs.
That's right. Absolutely. I mean, that brings up a good point. Go give us a follow. Am I allowed to plug? Is that like the thing? Yeah. I mean,
this whole damn episode's basically a plug.
I mean, it's go give us a follow. Like I had a similar issue last time I talked to you. Okay. Business had kind of boomed and we got so far ahead of the game that I didn't really have a whole lot of time to like take care of the website and everything else and like make this nice web presence. So right now we're in the process of updating the website, making everything, you know, taking the content, making that have a space to live on and all of that. So right now, if you go to the website, there's not a whole lot to interact with at the moment, but if you start tuning in, if you start, you know, kind of coming here and there, we'll have some websites or episodes and everything else there and there. And we're going to have kind of a bigger launch here in the real near future. And, you know, if you go over to social media and you give us a follow there, Jake is always posting updates on like the deer that are at the feeders and things that are going on right outside the window at the hollow. And, you know, once we're in the hunting season, he's really good about keeping everybody updated on what's going on. We try not to give away too much as far as like stuff that'll make it into the episodes and whatnot, but it's kind of cool to see a little bit of behind the scenes of what's going on because we do so much. Like I can only document so much.
Well, that's the thing. Like by the time you can now express your full creative capability.
Yeah.
With that then comes an amount of work that's almost impossible to keep up with.
Yeah.
Because there's so much you can do that for me, at least, that my ADD starts getting real weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I can do anything. I can do everything.
It's a mess.
And then it's like, then it just becomes like, well, there's always something I could be doing. And that's how I feel about this. There's always like, I could work on this business 24/7 for weeks and not run out of something to do.
Right.
So then the flip side of that for me with the family and the job and everything else becomes, well, it doesn't matter if I stop working on it because it'll be there for me the next day and the next day. Like put a pin in it and come back because the work will be there.
Right.
I'm never going to get through all of it. So what difference does it make? I'll get to what I can now. And you know, we try to give ourselves a lot of grace. Raise families doing this stuff. But where y'all are at, like Brian's kids are grown.
Yep.
Jake is what like I asked if he was the favored son when I met him. Given the name, yeah, we don't have favorites, but maybe we do. I don't know.
Yeah, got the whole hollow. Yeah,
you got the whole fucking hollow. Like, yeah, it might be the favorite son. I don't know where the hell I was going with that.
So the way the hollow was named, and I could be a little bit off on this, but what had happened was, I believe it went something to the tune of Jake had parked one of the side by sides up on top of a hill. Mm-hmm. And they had gone down and they were doing something and they heard this big crash come down. And long story short, he had forgot to put the parking brake on or some mishap happened and down went the side by side down the hillside and crashed into the woods. I guess everything was fine, but everyone was safe.
What,
but
Sam Hell? It's like,
but they jokes started arising, and I'm guessing by the end of the weekend they kind of had this whole Jake Break Hollow thing worked out. But yeah, so that's kind of how it was named. So I could be a little bit wrong.
This sticker, Jake Break prohibited, never prohibited, because like we say, if you're going to shoot a Jake turkey, you can shoot a Jake turkey. Essentially meaning it's your take, it's your hunt. We're not really trying to promote,
right,
go decimate the turkey population, but it's just kind of a silly thing.
Right.
Jake Break Hollow, to me, without knowing the proper noun, means like, oh, it must be about turkey hunting in a hollow.
Yeah, and it kind of is. I mean,
so there's like a
little
turkey
hunt.
Yeah, I just wonder what other folks think the name is and means, but nonetheless, it sounds cool, looks cool.
Yeah, it's got a ring to it. Kind of rolls off the tongue nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking like semis. Do they just?
That's what I think of all the time. I think of a semi blaring through one of those hollows with the Jake Break on, and it'd be echoing as far as you could hear.
Got any? I don't know. What were some of your favorite parts of hanging out with us this last season and editing the show? By the way, like I have to just commend you for when I told everybody and the crew that I think we got like 14 episodes. They're like, huh? How did he do that? Like we didn't have any footage. I was like, dude,
like I said, you guys did pretty good.
We were like, what? Well, how did you pull that out of your ass?
Well, you actually I had I basically had everything done, showed you that one night, and you're like, what about that whole hunt that Keegan filmed? And I was like, what? You're like, yeah, there's like a whole hunt missing here. And I was like, I think I got everything. And you showed me, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have like a lot of footage here. So yeah, we were able to get quite a bit more. But I don't know, man. Like the few times that we had professional cameramen here, we got everything that we needed as far as like higher quality production. And then you guys filled in the gaps perfectly fine. I mean, just kind of going vlog style and running the GoPros and everything. And you made it a point to just follow up what was happening in the field with the interviews and in here. And I remember you kind of messaged me early on, like, let me know if we need to reshoot any interviews and stuff. And I was like, dude, I think we're fine.
I was like, yeah, really? Okay.
I think we're good. And then that's when I think the worry, or I don't even know if you'd call it worry, but that's when your mind started wandering. Because from there, I could tell your texts were like trying to pick things out. But I also wanted to leave it like nice and gray, so like you could just be fresh to everything when I showed it to you. So
yeah.
But it was, long story short, I don't know, man. Like when it starts coming together, I approached this year editing wise in a completely different way than I have in past years. And it's kind of a style that I've been developing now over the course of my experience in the past few years of really editing these shows and everything. And what it allows me to do is basically have no clip go unwatched or unnoticed. So like
that's hard.
It's a lot. It's tedious in the beginning, but it ends up working out in the end. And this is kind of, the proof is in the pudding. We maximized the living daylights out of the content this year. There's stuff that obviously didn't make it in, but I mean, I don't know. There was very little that didn't make it in too. Like in the grand scheme of it,
to put together a story arc, and know where to put certain pieces and how to like take it from here to there, start to finish. When I was in college for web media and graphic design, one of the courses, or several of them were like video related, but one of them in particular was like, here's all the footage. You need to put together an ad for, it was a tourism ad for like some fancy community in Florida. That's like a vacation destination. So there's a lot of bougie shops, flame broil, flipping stuff, sailboats, people walking with shopping, all this stuff. And so that was it. It was like the way they taught us to do it is you need to watch, you didn't film this, you've received the footage. It's your job to put together the story and put it together however you'd like. When you're gonna get great on your ability to do that. And it was wild. There's 20 people in the class or something like that, and everyone was very different. With the same material. And I remember, I watched every minute of every video, and I had to like, it's kind of like you get to a new place and you got to drive all the roads, and like you got to just understand the lay of the land. What am I dealing with? And now that I know what I'm dealing with, let me go back in. And so then we had to, a lot of the class taught us organization of like this type, this type, this type, this type, these scenes, this spot, this spot, this spot.
Yep.
Like, then I knew how to find things as I needed it. It's almost like when I'm writing, when I go to do like written word, because I do some editorial stuff, I'll be writing, I have the thought, it's all here,
Yep.
and then it's typing, it's getting my fingertips, and then there's a word that's not coming to my mind.
Yep.
And then the whole fucking thought falls apart. In video, I don't have that problem. I know exactly what I need to grab because I know where it lives. It's different. So the ability to be creative there and like pin the tones together and the music and the ambiance and get that flow, you're masterful at that, I think.
Thank you.
So that's saying a lot considering you haven't even let to flex your full creative muscle yet. So when I say I'm enthused for what you're doing, I'm genuinely enthused for what you're going to be able to do, because if this is what you've been doing on like one hand behind your back, like Iron Man without his full fucking suit powered up, in every damn movie, you finally get powered up all the way and you're like, yeah, no, he's going to really kick ass. Like, that's what I feel like, man. I'm very excited for you.
Well, first of all, that I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Like I don't know. I've always had this creative side. I've always been, I've loved to express myself creatively. And over the course of just me stepping into this content creation world, every so often you kind of get compliments like the one you just gave me, and it makes you, remember like, yeah, you're probably on the right track here. You know what I mean? You're doing so many damn projects throughout the year that you kind of forget about the craft and the creativity sometimes. And you're just kind of hitting your flow. I mean, it's a meditative state when there's sometimes, and my wife will,
if you're not in the right spot to do it, you can't even begin to do it.
It's like, so hard. Yeah. And you ride those creative waves.
10 minutes there, but I can't. I need to wait till I have 4 hours.
You have to ride those waves when they're there. Like, sometimes my wife
gotta be able to take a gummy.
Sometimes you have to just be able to concentrate. Yeah. No,
I really switched my approach up when I went from joints to gummies.
Yeah, that's right. The longevity of it was. But my wife sometimes she, I'll kiss her goodnight and I'll also kiss her good morning, and I haven't left the desk. You know what I mean? In that time. And when those creative waves hit, I have to ride them. There's times that I've been down in West Virginia in the Hollow, and we're like not even, we're working on whatever.
You're doing beers in the garage. Like, I gotta go, guys.
Pretty much. It's like
I just had this epiphany. I gotta go.
It's here, and I'm wasting this time right now.
Like
I got to get the hell out of here.
You're an old man and you finally get a boner. You're like, we're gonna have sex right now.
We
it's
have
not gonna
to
happen for another month.
Right now.
I don't know
exactly.
I can't make this shit up.
The thing is, though, these guys are insanely supportive of that too. So they give me the opportunities to just go. And like Brian can see it in my eye. Like if I'm creative, he's like,
go do your thing, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah. But where the hell did we even start with this? This whiskey's good, by the way.
Thanks, Chris. Comments in. Jared, thanks for joining tonight. Tony, he said, I'll put up on the screen, which you're not going to see on this one, but he said, do you still like to use DSLRs for filming, or what are you using?
I think there's tools for everything. We had a similar question last time I was on, and there's definitely a place for any kind of camera. You know what I mean? Like, look at your whole setup here. There's cameras in here that I would not use professionally. There's others that I would probably give it a shot. But anyway, there's from GoPros to DSLRs to the mirrorless to a cinema camera and into the Reds and Blackmagics. It's a tool for certain situations. So I don't see any issue. Some DSLRs are perfectly, if you put their image, people that know how to run a DSLR good, if you put their image versus a mirrorless, 9 times out of 10, the everyday content consumer is not going to be able to tell the difference. So, if you can make that image look good, I think it has an application. At the end of the day, you get so much editing power out of a camera that lets you shoot 4K, right? And 8K and 6K and all of that. You can crop in, you can do a lot more, more megapixels you have, there's more things you can do with color and textures and things like that.
Color grading, like a lot of the professionals.
Yeah.
Don't they film in like, I'm going to get this not correct.
Yeah.
Like black and white and the color gets added in post or some shit?
Totally. So with a Red camera, you actually have no color at all whatsoever. It's not even like a black and white.
That feels very professional.
Yeah. And like the crazy thing about a red camera is post-production. It's
Is
like
that a technical
it's like
term, red camera? What does that mean?
Red is a brand.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Red is the brand, and they make cameras that are like $80,000+. So it's like a
Cinema grade
they're
camera.
badass.
Are
yeah.
bonita fish big? They're pretty big, yeah.
They're-
Red camera's nice. I mean,
They're pretty nice.
expensive.
No, they're the Red is the brand, and then they have different ones like the Komodo and so on. But what that footage allows you to do, it's like raw footage on steroids. You can like pretty much manipulate everything, like aperture, shutter speeds,
Think
things.
movie like 300 or
Exactly.
things like that, where it's like everything has the same exact tonal feel.
Exactly.
You probably have to have something.
So
of that caliber.
and when you have that footage, you're starting with black and white, and like you were saying, you're basically adding in all of the color. So
Painting your canvas completely.
right. And so getting back to the DSLRs, if you were to take a DSLR and just run it in auto mode and your objective was just to self-film a hunt, that's going to look perfectly fine on YouTube, social media, everything
Yeah,
else, you know?
people are watching on their phones.
Exactly.
The new iPhones have beautiful displays, though.
They do. The phones
Honestly.
are magnificent. I mean, I don't know the percentage of content being consumed on phones
Gotta be a
versus
lot.
TVs, but I'd have to imagine it's the majority, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I could be
Because you
completely
consume
wrong.
when you like. I'll see people post, and I'm like, "Well, I'm on lunch now."
Yeah.
And I can watch this now. And honestly, even the audio's not terrible. It's like, where's the sound coming from? It's my phone. I thought it was what the fuck? Like, how did they've engineered some wizardry shit, some voodoo is going into my phone these days. It's really impressive. I did just get a new phone, so
That's people. I mean,
feel like wow. But Greg, I was talking to this morning, and he was like, I'm like, I didn't mean to make you the star of all these episodes. It's just kind of how it is, Greg, and people like you more than me.
you were a busy man this fall too.
Anyway, so he's like, wow, was that intentional? I was like, no, but I don't know. It's just how it is. I was like, have you seen him? Yeah. He goes, well, I like to watch him in my sitting room with my leather chair on the TV. And he's like, I've been traveling so much. He's like, I don't want to waste it on the phone. I want to watch it when I can sit down and like actually enjoy
Good
it.
for him. That's some self-control right
Yeah,
there.
I was like, I'm impressed because that's how I would prefer to watch most things. We just got new floors put in and a new couch, and I'm like, I really want to watch in that room with the fireplace and the cozy and the stuff. And I'm like, damn it, here I am relegated to watching on my damn phone again. You know,
to that point of Greg being on film a lot this year. That's one of the fun things about editing. Like that's when I'm talking about the meditative state that I'm in and just the flow that you hit, you never know what's going to come out of these stories. And even the ones that like I kind of plan ahead, right? Because there's times I lean into stuff, right? Like you see the natural development of things happening. So let me give you an example. This last year, we're sitting in the blind, and out of nowhere, Brian goes, "Hey, we got to pick a card." I'm like, what? He goes,
like, what?
He goes, we gotta pick a card. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? He reaches in his backpack and he pulls out this deck of cards. Okay. Yeah. And he explains this thing to me. He's like, yeah, we're gonna pull a card every single hunt. Like every time we go out. And then if I shoot a deer, I'm gonna keep that card. And Jake is gonna do the same thing. And at the end of the year, we're going to compete my poker hand versus his based on like, you know, what we have in our hand. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Okay, let's draw a card, you know, but that we leaned into that this whole season. That was kind of the ongoing constant. Like,
did you name the season like something to do with cards?
Kind of, yeah. So any episode that I could lean into that.
Season 2 is coming.
Season 2 is coming, yeah, and we haven't filmed that yet. We're in the process of filming it, and that's the wild thing. We're literally filming this, turning it around in a few months' time, and out the door it goes. Yep. So I mean, it's fresh content. So anyway, but in season 1, yeah, we kind of that's the thing that we leaned into, and that was a constant thing that we could always kind of, you know, count on the trips. And I'm always looking for these little segments, right? Whether it be dinner or an interaction outside between two of the guys, or maybe I want there to be an interaction, so I'll prompt one of the guys to go talk to the other guy, or I'll just say, hey, like, go fist bump so and so. But like when it comes to the storylines, and I'll come back around to Greg, but you know, the card thing then developed into this whole ordeal. And people started asking about it, where, you know, pretty soon the guides, they'd be, hey, we forgot to draw a card this morning. We got to draw a card. So then the guides are getting in on it and they're drawing a card, and, you know, we'd get the owner of an outfitter to draw a card or whoever. And every now and then I'd draw one, but it became this really interactive thing. And it kind of became this cool thing because at the end of the year, you know, between the few, what am I trying to say?
The guys that punch tags.
Well, between the harvests, you know, we basically had, I think Jake won with like a 3 of a kind or something like that. And I mean, he kind of pulled it off, but the development of that led to like kind of this big thing at the end of the episode, or at the end of the season, where
I really wanted to see it.
You wanted to know what each guy was getting. So now we're leaning further into that this year. Everybody's going to have a deck of cards. We're going to be pulling cards and whatever. And what we want to actually do is get it to be an interactive thing with folks online, social media wise. So we're actually making decks of cards right now, Jake Break Hollow decks of cards, and we're going to really lean into it in this upcoming season. And you know, we're going to have those for sale, and Jake is going to put out this big post in a little bit, kind of announcing this whole grand thing that we have going on with these playing cards. And there is a lot more to it, but I'm going to kind of save the rest for the post.
Yeah.
But long story short, like, you never know when something like that is just going to come out of left field and turn into like content gold, you know, because
what you're saying is Greg is the king.
And that's just it. Like, Greg, throughout the season, he had the least amount of contributed footage from self-filming, but like we had the most amount of professional footage of him, because I spent, well, the trip with you and him, and then him and Greg and
Matt, yeah.
Or, excuse me, Matt, yeah, sorry. And after everything was said and done, he's good on film, dude. He's good in front of the camera. He's just a natural, and he's got a great personality for it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't really expect it, but when you sit down and you start rifling through all this footage, and you're taking every single clip and you're looking at it, eventually you wind up with 4 episodes of you know,
of Greg.
just
hamming
anyway.
it up. No, I like that.
So it's always cool, because when you hit that stride and you find those little niches and you find those storylines and you find just the pieces of the puzzle that fit, it comes together so beautifully, because once you find the storyline, then it's up to you to just put your little creative flair on it and make it the entertainment that it is, right? From there, it becomes the art form.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to find the little, you know, pathway to go down to bring it to life.
Yeah,
so
I can relate to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like your superpower almost,
right?
The ability to spot that thing. I feel like that's how I am with marketing. Like, I know how to spot certain things.
You have a really good eye for things
like,
that like you wouldn't know. I don't know.
I don't have it in deer hunting. You saw me try to pick a tree before. It doesn't go well.
It's so funny. Whenever I talk to people about filming with you guys, they're like what's it like? Because I have my brother-in-law. He's a fan of the Okayest Hunter show, so
well, how about that?
He's tuning in all the time, and he's always asking questions and such. And I'm like, it's so funny filming with these guys, because anything could happen, and like you have such a array, like you have such a spectrum of like skill set and talent and everything else, and like you're all good in your own little areas. But one thing is for sure, you pretty much always put the cameraman through the ringer in some way, because it's the nastiest, thickest. I don't know what it is with you Wisconsin guys, but it's like that's hardly looks navigable
by the content from Keegan. So I don't know how much of that didn't make it, because he was getting annoyed with me.
That looks almost impassable by foot. Let's go in there. That seems to be your theory.
That's where the deer are. You know? Yeah,
exactly.
Like, they're gonna be where people aren't. Let's go there. And you're like,
so funny.
That was the concern. I was like, man, is the camera guy gonna keep up?
It's
like, I feel bad, because it's just me. I'll do anything. That's fine. But now I got this dude lugging around this heavy equipment. Like, you sure you can handle this? You sure? And you're like, yeah, I'm good.
Last season when we were going through the reeds and stuff, and I just remember my microphone kept getting caught. The reeds would grab the microphone and it'd pull it off the hot shoe, pissing me off so much. I finally just unplugged it and put it in my pocket and left your lav mic or your lapel mic on. I was like, when we get to a place where this will stay on, I'll put it back on. But
that's funny, man.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate all the hard work you do. It's really hard work, honestly, and it's a lot of work. And I think, I don't know if it's underappreciated. I think it's appreciated, but there's other mindsets in the hunting community that are like, you know, content bad. Camera's bad. I saw someone put a post out showing a self-film setup, I think, but it was like a camera on a camera arm with it. Then there's a GoPro attachment facing the hunter, and on the camera there's one of those preview screens, or I don't know what those are called.
Monitor.
A monitor.
Yep.
And there's a lot of like, it looked like a lot of technology stuffed into the tree, and they're like, I can't believe this is where hunting is at.
Yeah.
The episode we just put out where you interviewed my son, I don't know if you interviewed my daughter or not. I know they didn't make it.
There was an attempt, but there wasn't much. She got preoccupied with you, and then just wanted to go see what was going on. So.
All right, so I was like, I don't remember, but she obviously made it into the film. My youngest made a film, trying to chug an old expired energy drink that was empty. Thank God, because heaven forbid that kid gets any more energy. But that was really this is fresh. It just happened like last week, and so my kids were so jazzed to see themselves on TV. So seeing their reaction to being there and on TV and a part of it was really special. For me as a parent, I'll get like teary-eyed. It was a time capsule.
Yeah.
I have my kids locked in at, I think 2, 4, and 6.
Yep.
And I always have that.
Yep.
And it's doing something I love with them.
Yep. And
I mean, there's some moments in there of me being frustrated with my kid going into full-blown panic mode because he wanted to wear his backpack in his car seat. No, Dad, I'm like, no, we're trying to leave the house. Like, you're so excited, I can't even get you out the house.
Then the dogs are jumping in the van.
It's just like, but someday this phase of life it's fleeting.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many quotes I get on the Instagram feed as a dad. It's like, ooh, you only spend like 20% of your life with your kids, while they're kids, and the rest is you don't even see them anymore. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, so then I watched the episode and it was really special. So to the people that are like, oh, F content, I don't know. It's kind of special that there's that piece. These memories can live on. And so I'll argue that it's 100% for me. If we get 2 views, I could give a shit.
Yeah.
But if it lives out there somewhere, I can go back to it. I am concerned that these properties, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, will go away someday. I'm like, oh man, where are all our photos and videos going to go?
Yeah.
Like, look at the Roman Empire. That thing fucking crumbled. I'm learning about that right now.
Yep.
Where's all the literature? How much of it made it through and how much of it didn't? We have some, but so at some point this generation will be dust. And this whole, I don't mean just this generation, I mean like this whole thing will cease to exist at some point. So like in 8 generations, how shitty is this content going to look in 8K?
Right.
It's going to be like, well, that's like looking at an 8.
Wait, you mean it's not like VR and I can,
So, but at least for the next few generations or a couple or whatever, it's special and it's cool. And I think I said on the show a couple weeks ago, like Fred Bear made content. He brought cameraman in the woods. He put on TV. Was that good, bad? I don't know. But there's an appetite for us to capture these things and to cherish these memories and get those photos. And there's probably a line there somewhere.
Yeah.
Where that exists, I'm not entirely sure. I think there's probably some, if you're filming unethical shit, certain things don't need to see the light of day. I can get down with that.
Yeah,
but other things, it's like
you're taping wolves' mouth shuts and parading them around Wyoming and shit. That's probably not the best,
But there's like, oh, did you have to put? If it's just for you, then why post it at all?
Right.
I don't know. Like, we don't have VHS tapes anymore.
Yeah.
If we did it, that's probably as far as it would have ever made it. But we were doing that too, weren't we?
Yeah.
So I don't know. As a guy that's in it, doing it, I don't know. Like, clearly you were drawn to want to create.
Right.
Sometimes you just like to fucking create.
Totally. It's I don't know, man. Like, at the end of the day, you're 100% correct. It's preserving memories. That's exactly what you're doing.
Just like a fucking mount.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a conversation piece. Somebody comes in, asks about it, whatever, and it's no different. Like, you guys are at the trade shows and hey, you have it playing in the background or somebody saw it, they come up, it's a conversation piece. But furthermore, it's a memory preserver. If to your point of, could it be harmful? Could it not? Like, totally, it could be harmful. 100% it could be. It's people do stupid things on camera. People get in trouble with cameras. Just like anything, there's going to be good, bad, and ugly. But like anything, there has to be pioneers for the positive stuff. There has to be people to lay the groundwork to be able to, you know, show that there is a positive impact. There's a positive way of going about this. Even, you know, neutral ground stuff when we're getting into different politics and everything else. Hunting is a neutral ground to start out with, you know.
That's fair.
And furthermore, it's such a primal thing, you know what I mean? I hate to say it like that, but it freaking is. It's
Primal in a great
you know what I mean?
way.
Like it's been around since day one, and what there's not a better way to get your protein. I mean, there's not a more ethical way to take an animal. I mean, the hunters are always taking it upon themselves. I mean, good ethical hunters are taking it upon themselves to make sure they're keen with their shot, that they have a good eye, that they're, you know, ethical about what they're doing out in the woods, that animal is being harvested in the most ethical and humane way possible. And there's so much that goes into that. And every time you have a camera out and every time you're documenting it, whether it be a photo or a video or whatever, it's an opportunity to show how it can be done right. And it can be such an advocate tool. It can be a tool to basically bridge gaps between questions of, you know, very, very high attention topics like firearms and things like that, because it kind of shows the side of, you know, what the hell a firearm is 100% useful for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just it's such an advocate for so many things. And if you were to take, in a world where content is king, if you were to completely take hunting out of the equation, the domino effect that would happen would be catastrophic. I mean, we're talking in a high dollar industry that is impactful so far beyond what's on the surface. When we're talking about conservation and conservation efforts and different habitat efforts and organizations that are going beyond the governmental services and also taking it upon themselves to do these privatized projects. And you have, you know, things like Ducks Unlimited and Whitetails Unlimited and things like that. But all these subgroups too, you're starting to see conservation groups and things happening on a localized level. You're seeing efforts like Foam Fest and things like that, where you're spreading positive imagery all the way across the board. And so much of that is fueled by the world of content that it would be asinine to think that it's like not a powerful tool that can be used for such good in our industry. You know what I mean?
I think the fine line does exist, and I don't have enough energy or booze to talk about this at length right now because I feel like I'm winding down for the day. But
do you need a bang?
We'll take a bang. I might go to Quick Trip for that. Here's the thing, like, you can't strip our voice away.
No,
like,
right.
Content, i.e., equals bad, because then the wrong people will see it, and therefore, like, I am on board with being unapologetic about what we do.
100%.
I'm also on the same side of the playing the other side of the fence of, like, you have to be mindful.
You do.
About what you're putting out.
Yes.
But if you take it away altogether,
yeah,
then it disappears.
It does.
And then they win.
Right.
And that's a problem.
That's a big problem.
So there just needs to be some due diligence and responsibility about how we post and what we post.
Exactly.
I don't think it needs to go away. And for the folks that are like, you're spot burning, and that's just selfish mindset. That's just like, maybe I haven't been impacted to the degree of some folks where like, oh, the hunting public came here, or the hush people came here, or Meat Eater came here, and now it's fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had lots of spots burned, and I hunting. I live in between Madison and Milwaukee. Those are two highly populated areas.
Yeah.
Anything within 20-mile radius of those two cities is about where I am.
Yeah.
So I get hunting pressure from both, and everything, all the rural areas in between. I don't know non-hunting pressure. Right. I've only ever known hunting pressure, and especially in the Nicolet National Forest, where everybody used to drive up there for deer camp.
Yeah.
I had guys, you know, sneezing trees away from me, you know, my first ever hunt.
Yep.
To me, that's just part of it.
It is part of it.
It's just part of it. I've never had the elbow room be like, this feels nice. There's no one here.
Right.
Like, and then you have the mindset, well, hunt harder. Well, that's not everyone hunts harder now. There's cell
Right.
cams and trail cams everywhere.
Yeah.
You're not getting away from it. So do I think these people are having a negative impact? Not really.
Yeah.
I think like it's just spreading people out more.
Right.
I don't know. Figure stuff out. Like there's not always going to be people after the spot because someone else did it. And
Yeah.
if you're mad at the people like the hunting public or us or whoever that ruined it, that's the wrong person to be mad at. The person you should be mad at are the assholes that are the bad eggs ruining it for the bunch that are the ones trying to find a shortcut in life to find that fucking spot. Because that's
Right.
not what hunting is.
Right.
Hunting is the journey, the exploration,
It
the
is.
adventure, the learning.
Yeah.
If you're just going to go shortcut it because that's where someone else killed a big deer, that's the problem.
Right.
That's a mindset problem and a societal problem. That's
It is.
not the content creator. But
And
I don't know.
furthermore, having a platform to have the voice to say like that's a problem, you know? Just I mean, to further your point with the content, I mean it's got a place. It obviously does, and we're talking about it right now. You know,
Yeah.
if I don't know, the whole thing with the public land stuff, and I mean, public land hunting is an experience in itself. It
That's a good way to put it.
it
You
always
can have a
will
story
be.
for sure.
It always will be. I mean, I can think of countless times I'm on the Mississippi River in southern Minnesota, and there's guys shooting over top of you at ducks and they don't even know you're sitting on the same little like little marshy pad that they're on.
Yep.
It's so I mean, now you look back and it's just funny stories, right? And I think as a hunter, you have to take the time to appreciate the journey, because after all is said and done, you're going to have a story about that outing, and how you want that outing to be perceived by others pretty much relies on that story. So the details that you take focus to and that you take attention to while you're out there, like, every outing is an adventure. It's an opportunity to have an experience in the woods, and, there's always something to take away from it. There just always is. So,
and I've never had a bad experience with another hunter.
No,
I mean,
I've
knock on wood, because I'm sure it'll happen.
There's competition, but
most it's all been pretty cordial. Like
it is.
You get them back to the parking lot and you're all pretty like happy to share your story with them. And
exactly,
even if you're forthcoming with maybe intel that maybe you want to keep, you also are excited to talk about it.
Right.
So it's like a really weird, awkward thing. Like, did you see any deer? How do I want to answer this? Like, yeah, no, yeah, shit. Like,
and I mean,
are you take my spot?
But then other times it feels good to be the guy coming back to the parking lot with a harvest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everybody takes that turn as well. And that's another thing with the public land stuff is if you go out and you're getting upset because you didn't shoot a deer, like there's nothing more to it, but that's hunting.
It's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
And if you're not going to enjoy that part of it, then you're probably not enjoying much of the hunt.
Right. Then you're just a curmudgeon probably anyways.
But I mean, everybody has their traditions and everything else. Some people come from backgrounds where like that's all their family does is sit around the shack and talk about the other people that messed up their hunt.
You're
it's
right.
Just the perspective.
All those damn neighbors shot all the
and that's all they know. Is how to talk shit on those people. And so it's always you got to always take into consideration what other people have.
Can you read that quote under Fred Bear right there out loud?
Oh, it goes, "You can't change the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails." And that's exactly what I'm saying right there. You have to have a positive outlook on it. And if you're not going to, then you're probably not enjoying the whole process. But anyway, I don't know.
No, I want to talk on that. So did you, I gave you one of the yard signs, right?
Yeah, totally.
Did it go to Virginia or where did it end up?
It's still in Duluth, but it will be in Virginia very soon.
I'm excited for those guys to get it. We got them in red now too.
I saw that.
So, although every Trump sign I've seen is in blue.
I've seen that too.
So I was like, one guy had commented on our social media advertisement for that. It was like, bro, I'm not buying this unless it's red or black because I don't want my neighbors thinking certain things about me. And I was like, all right, duly noted. So then I commented, I responded back. I was like, hey, we got it in red. And he's like, bought. He went and bought it right then and there. So I saw the order come through. But I was like, I have to see
every single Trump sign is blue, and
so I'm like, am I stupid? Like, what's going on here? I don't know.
No,
we have red shirts and blue shirts now too, so we have both. Like, look, I don't give a shit.
No.
I care. You the only thing you need to care about is the lean of your tree.
Exactly.
Where you're gonna hang your stand.
Yeah, the hunting's the middle ground, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where we all come together.
I just don't get started on all that stuff. But
oh man,
campaign trail leads to the deer woods. That's what we're gonna talk. We're selling the shit out of these signs, and we are losing our asses on them because we did not do this to make money.
Yeah.
It was more of like a, this is fun, let's do it kind of thing. And I did not consider how much shipping and handling would cost. And
Yeah.
so we're just like, I think we're literally losing dollars on every one of those sales.
Well, maybe I ought to take a head count because I'm sure once we pop one up down there, people are going to want them. That seems to be the trend.
We sell out because I'm having a hard. We don't want to have so many that we're left with them because once election's over, these signs are worthless.
Exactly.
Buy them.
Yeah, so you're riding a fine line there.
So we're just riding it very closely, but every time we restock, we sell out.
Yeah.
Same thing with these koozies, which we're trying to find a new supplier for because our suppliers.
That's.
Well, I don't know if he died or what, but he's not responding to us. So.
That's the other fun thing. Like down in West Virginia, the local community right there has been taken to the Jake Break Hollow content so nicely. There's been multiple times now where one of the guys, because there's a big group, but one of the guys will be out in public and they'll be like, "You're one of the Jake Break Hollow guys?" You know what I mean? And then we put some merch up in the local hardware stores and the grocery store and stuff, and sold out multiple times over again. So it was pretty cool. And go into the local restaurant there, and people, "Oh, you're with the Hollow, huh?" Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do anything too stupid like, "Oh, you're with the Hollow, huh?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know, that they're like,
no, we try to leave a pretty good impact. Yeah.
Jace, let me see that edit. No, you can't put that in there.
Yeah, right.
We don't want to show that one.
Yeah, it's a good group of dudes. There's Roger and Buster, they're the caretakers of the property down there, so they're the local ones spreading all the information and whatnot. But they're good. They got families, and they can kind of infiltrate the school and the community and whatnot. So we've been working a lot of angles down there. Once I get down there, we'll be able to build regular and fresh content all the time. And once we start really putting the pedal to the metal here with the promotions, I don't know. I'm really excited to see where things go, because we had talked to the network and we were like, "Hey, where do we stack up?"
You never know. Like, I wonder the same.
Like, where do we and you don't have to tell us specifics, but can you just tell us, like, are we
doing good or are we not doing good?
And basically they were like, "Look, one of the other shows on the network, they've kind of been our bread and butter, and they're doing, roughly about this." And it was like, mid 20,000s, like 24,000, 25,000 a month. And at the end of the day, they were like, "You guys are sitting right there at like 22, 20 to 22 after everything is said and done." So it's like, all right, well, we're nipping at the heels already, and we've hardly gone after it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so now after we get the fresh content flowing and get the regularity, I mean, how important it is to stay constant on social media and everything else. Once we start working those angles and we get more involvement in the communities, and we can do, we want to do big things like the state fair and county fairs and local fairs. And we want to do the, all the different expos that we can around the area. We want to get involved with some of the toy dealerships and all of that. And once we start getting all these involvements, because there's so much potential, right? With 3,000 acres, I mean, we can offer fun rides around the property. We can host riding events, trail events, things like that. In the off season, we can be doing so much with the community. And those are just things that are coming down the pipeline. And I don't know when all of this all comes to fruition, I'm excited to see how it blows up, because so far it's been just so much positivity.
So when you're here next year, we're going to hear about all the stuff that blew up.
100%.
Whether it's another ATV rolling down the mountain or literally doing really well, like, it's going to depend.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope, right? I mean, I don't know if we've had anything go quote unquote viral before.
Yeah,
but
you don't need to viral. We've had some shit go viral, and it's never the thing you want.
That's what I always hear.
That's what went viral.
My buddy.
That's what people are gonna know us for now. Is the chick farting in the car?
My buddy Alex.
30 million views.
Says the same thing. He posts waterfowl content all the time. Alex Culp, and he's like, "I'll take this stupid video, and it'll be stupid, and it'll blow up."
That's the one. I took that thousands upon thousands. I was on the shitter. Damn it! Like, I had 2 minutes before the kids came in.
And then he's like, "I took 4 hours and edited up this reel, and it looks badass, and I can't wait because it's gonna blow up." And then that one gets like 150
every
likes.
time, dude.
You know what I mean?
It's so silly. I think it's funny because we have folks that are like, "Well, all you do is take pictures of trees, and then you put this quote on the screen with the music." I'm like, "No, we do that. You're right." "Well, all you do is make GIFs and memes." Yep, you're right. We do that. "All you do is put words on the screen." Yep, we do that. You're right. "All you do is put podcast clips on." Yep, we do that. Right. We also have long form content on our YouTube. We also have a fucking podcast network of 12 shows. We also have we're doing we also have editorial with really great writers.
Yep.
We also you haven't even begun to look under the hood of what we do. We also send out weekly fucking emails.
They just see what comes rolling through their reel.
So much stuff. And it's it's just funny. You have to let the water roll off the duck's back because the man in the arena kind of quote comes to light a little bit. Like we're working really hard.
Oh yeah.
All the time. And for what though? Like what? Because we love it.
Yeah.
Is why. Because it certainly isn't paying the bills. And people are like, do you do this full time? No. No, I do not.
Practically, but
it's a full-time load of work. But
do you know what episode you're on?
For this?
Yeah.
I don't know, 400 probably.
Wow. Good for you, man.
I don't know, something like that.
That's such a commitment right there. I mean, that's that.
But not really because of the
consistency.
rebrand. We started at 0. Sure. So, this is probably labeled episode 160 or something.
Sure.
That's not reality.
Yeah.
It's like, and if you consider the other podcasts I was part of for several years, this is close to 500 for sure.
Well, that's what people don't take a look at is the hard work that goes into staying consistent with all of it. You made a post the other day about the kind of the proof in the pudding with consistency and posting and all of that. And I mean, you grind. The Okayest crew grinds harder than honestly most crews that I know across this industry, and it's fueled by straight passion, and that's the coolest part about it.
Yeah,
and your voice and the platform and everything you've been developing just fits so well. Everything is just a perfect glove every single time, and people don't look into that side of it, what it takes to make all those pieces fit into the right puzzle and look good at the end of the day, and they just take a look at your reels and you just post memes.
Some guy commented we're woke today, and I'll tell you what, the second time someone's called me woke, once in person and once online, and I'm not a millennial that gets triggered by shit, but I want to punch motherfuckers in the face.
Sometimes you wish you could, huh?
But then I remember the words of Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism, and I try to simmer it down and not respond with "go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
I think the guy that said it to me in person, I knew exactly what he fucking said. I knew exactly what he was doing.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I'm not awake yet? It's early. I haven't had my coffee yet.
I just played dumb.
I just played dumb and let him move on. Because I didn't want to get kicked out of the I didn't want to get kicked out of the trade show.
Yeah. Right.
What are you, the woke brand of hunting? Okayest hunter. I was like, wow, bro. Anyway.
You got to wonder what some folks' lives look like.
It's interesting, but I don't know. Are we the wokest brand in hunting? I'm not sure. I don't really know. I don't think people fully comprehend that term, for the record. But
your message is just so much more. I don't even know. Middle of the road. It's so neutral.
It's similar tone to us. Y'all aren't that different.
We just want to have fun.
You know what I mean? So we're not the only ones with this mantra and how we do things. I think we just are really tight on our mission and ethos. We kind of know who we are.
I mean, we have our political views, and I think those undertones come out through the show and everything. And sometimes more aggressive than others, but it's at the end
who you are.
At the end of the day, and that's just it. At the end of the day, everything you're seeing on the content, both from Okayest Hunter and Jake Break, is
100% real.
Is 100% genuine. There's nothing fake. Like when your stand is falling out of the tree while you're trying to get up it, that shit's real.
I couldn't have made that up.
You know what I mean? When Brian draws a card and he sets it up on the ledge and the wind blows it out the blind, that shit's real. And that's the magic. That's what's so fun is going back to the preserving of memories,
you want to watch it again. It was funny.
And even if nobody else thinks it's funny, even if nobody else thinks it's funny, if they think it's stupid, right? Like you said, it gets 2 views. Who gives a shit? You go back 20 years from now and you watch that and you get to reflect on that dear memory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And furthermore, it's something that I wish I could do more with my dad and my family and stuff. But when folks die and move on and everything, though, you'll have that for as long as
true.
Do you know what I mean? And so I'm Italian. I come from a very Italian family, and family heritage has always been.
Can you speak Italian?
No.
Damn it.
Shit, I wish I could. My cousins, a couple of my
Italian.
cousins and aunts and uncles know how, but the family heritage has always been such a big thing in my family. We would sit down every single day, you know, if we were at a friend's house, we had to go home for dinner. We had these like really strong
I
family
love
values
that,
and
dude.
stuff.
That's great.
And it was just expected, you know. So, and anyway,
What a spaghetti and a meatball.
totally make a lot of homemade meals, all of that. And to be able, if I were to be able to film a hunt of my dad, right, and even after I'm dead and gone, and my kid's dead and gone, if we still have a way of consuming
Dude,
that
think
content,
about how popular Ancestry.com is.
Exactly.
Like,
but
this
now,
is that on
now they can
steroids.
watch their great grandfather in live action. They can hear his voice. They can see him moving. They can see how he interacts with people, right? And for the end until the end of
That's
time,
where I got that
content
trait from. You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And once you see, like, I never knew it growing up, but I got really interested in like all these little family traits and stuff. And once I started really focusing, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're all exactly the same. My family, like, I don't know, it makes so much more sense after like you learn a little bit about the family history. It's like, yeah, that's definitely why I am the way I am.
No, the audio thing. So I've said this on the show before, but I worked for a call center in college, and we took phone calls. I think it was like once a week, probably. I got a call from someone that was like the power of attorney or a relative of someone who died.
Yeah.
And they wanted to preserve the voicemails.
Yeah.
And we could export those and send them.
Yeah.
And that way they could, if the phone deleted and number went away and all that stuff, because you have to shut all that shit down.
Right.
They wanted the memory. When someone dies, their voice leaves this world. And so voicemails are really something that like you can hold on to. I've saved voicemails on my phone from all my relatives.
Yeah.
For this very reason. Like when they die, because they're gonna, it's the only guarantee in this life is we don't get out alive.
Right.
I at least have them telling me that they love me.
Yeah.
And like that's pretty powerful. So my kids have 400 episodes of their dad swearing and drinking bourbon, talking about and them as little kids. What the hell, Dad said that about me?
When they go back and listen, though, they're going to learn so much about you and themselves and everything else. And you know what an advantage over so many other people that don't document their life in some form or fashion. Yeah.
And even the guys that gripe about, there's content's bad. Well, they're out there also putting content about how content is bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo,
no
bro, your
publicity
voice is out there
publicity.
too. Like you look at, there it is. There you are. You're using content to fight content.
Yep.
Like fire with fire doesn't really work.
Right.
Like go figure. You know, the only way to get someone to stop consuming content is to make content.
Yep.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Right. It's an odd thing. I honestly, the Okayest Hunter network is what opened my eyes to people that viewed like outdoor content as a very negative thing. I until I listened to some of the podcasts in your network, I assumed that people like liked certain types of content, and some people, I never thought of it from a perspective of like they just flat out don't like content, period. And it's an interesting take. I understand, like it in my honest opinion, it's kind of an old timey way of thinking of things. And
I'm a digital craftsman, so I just love to build it. Like
in a world where that's obviously not the mentality.
Yep.
So I understand the unique perspective and why somebody would kind of be rooted in that. But it's, to me, it is kind of odd, because you would think that if I saw something being negative, but I could have an opportunity to make it good, I would probably try to make it good rather than just sit there and bitch about how it's bad. You know what I mean? If I could make the change, I think I would. But
be the change you seek to make in the world.
Exactly.
That's kind of what this whole damn thing is.
But how would you promote such thing? How would you tell people like don't consume outdoor content? How like you could take a boots on the ground approach, but how do you do that without dipping into the world of content?
Well, that's just it, because content isn't just videos and pictures. Like there's this is why the company name is Base Layer Media.
Sure.
I don't think you can go to market with, let's say you're going to go to the Arctic or like the woods without your base layers. You usually have the layer that touches your skin, your mid layer, and then your outer shell. You have 3 layers.
It's a very important system too.
The actual company that operates Okayest Hunter is Base Layer Media, and the logo is 3 mountain peaks, all of different colors, representing the written word, the audio word, and pictures and videos. Ever since cavemen, when people are telling stories, there's pictures on cave walls, there's writings that we learn from, and there's now there's moving picture.
Right.
Those are the 3 pillars of media.
Yeah.
And the written word is content, pictures are content, podcasts are content.
Yep.
And Gary Vee famously quoted saying, if content is king, then context is God. That's why I like all three modalities, because someone might like to read, someone might to listen, someone like to watch, someone like to do all three, but at different times of their day.
Yeah.
In the morning, they're reading. In the middle of the day, they're podcasting. And at night, maybe they're sitting down in Greg's TV room and watching a show.
Right.
Like, I believe in accommodating preferences and meeting people where they are. Yeah. So if someone that's going to gripe content, well, which content, bro? Because I can read just as easy as I can watch or listen.
Right.
So are you going to fight all three of those fronts? I don't know. And I feel like people might know who I'm talking about by this point, because there's a particular individual that's like against a lot of the shit. And I'm maybe inviting a debate here, and probably a really good one, because I think, again, there's some valid arguments. There's some valid arguments from that side of the fence, and I'm not poo-pooing them. But when things are so extreme, I love extremes. I love David Goggins. I love Dave Osprey. I love all these people that do extreme shit.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, yada, yada. But then when it's that extreme, it's not like for the rest of the fucking population, like you're part of like less than 1%.
Right.
When you're so extreme, like where you want to like do the Fight Club version of like blowing up all the credit union buildings, and like blowing up all the major content production facilities in the hunting world,
right.
Like that's just not achievable. You're not gonna win if that's your end result. So then, like, what is it you're really doing then?
Yeah.
Now you're just making a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, because you're so extreme, I can't get on board. If you like would just water it down a little bit, then I think there's room to talk about what you're talking about.
Yes.
If you're gonna be that extreme, like, I'm sorry, that's not gonna happen.
No.
Because it just won't.
No. Human nature is not going to let that happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's an appetite to consume. Like, when I'm not in the woods, guess what I want to watch? Fucking hunting videos.
Yes. Yeah.
When I'm not, I have books on this desk. I'm reading. Like, I'm reading about it. I'm watching it. I'm listening to it. Like, I'm consuming it. We are a society of consumption.
Yeah.
We like to consume things.
We do.
For learning, for entertainment. It's either you're learning or you're being entertained. You look at anybody's phone, their apps are either practical or entertainment. It's either escapism or value add.
It is.
And that is it. Like, I'm convinced. And then you're either going to learn by reading, watching, listening. You're either going to be entertained by reading, watching, or listening.
Exactly.
That's human. That is ingrained in human nature.
It is.
Like, certain people are fighting battles that just aren't going to be won.
Yeah.
And so, like,
I agree with
that. If you're not going to convince teenagers to be abstinent because they're going to fuck, because that's what teenagers do.
Yeah.
Fucking hormones.
Right.
So instead, let's get them some condoms so they stop spreading stids.
Exactly.
Like, let's just live in reality, please.
Right.
Okay.
And
sorry.
Sometimes you take it places I don't see it going, but it makes perfectly good sense.
Well, that's not long. No. My potty mouth is running amok.
It's hilarious.
Sorry.
It's Eric Clark. That's who it is.
I think my mom said, "Sorry, I joined the show late, but you didn't sound great." And so I'm pretty sure that's a typo, Mom. But, I don't know.
Is she saying the whiskey's kicking in? We should shut
You didn't sound, I think she meant to say you did.
Oh.
But now I'm going to have to call her afterwards and be like, did you type that wrong?
Now we're going to need to clarify.
Do I have an audio problem I'm not aware of? No one else has commented this?
For confidence purposes, we're going to have to clarify later.
Whiskey Mike.
You hit the nail on the head. It would be virtually impossible to spread any sort of word
with nothing.
With nothing.
Gutenberg,
exactly.
The printing press was evil when it came out because it was going to make people lazy. Like, people shouldn't read like that. When dude, anything new that came out was inherently bad and was going to fuck things up.
Yeah,
we're here now again with AI and everything else. Like, it just keeps happening over and over. I do think that AI is a bit of a Pandora's box scenario.
It is
a bit different. The response is the same.
It is 100%.
We've seen the same response for every new thing that
some people panic, some people are excited about it, some people are just waiting to see what happens, some people are just waiting for the world to end. You know what I mean? It's just all about how you approach the mindset. I mean, I can think back to the first video game console I got, and we were limited on that because watching the TV would ruin our eyesight and everything else. And then it went from eyesight to, well, this type of stuff is just going to fry your brain if you play video games too much, and the progression keeps happening. But honestly, at the end of the day,
We're just getting smarter as a society.
I have a lot
longer.
I have a lot to thank from video games and interactions I had with consuming that kind of content, and how it allowed me to express creatively and lead to this. You know what I mean? And yeah, you can look at technology and the advancements and everything else as being bad. You could look at content as being something as a negative thing in the hunting industry, but you're not going to stop human nature. And at the end of the day, these opportunities are ones to be advocates for our industry and what we do and what we love and what we're passionate about. And I could never wrap my head around not being an advocate for this stuff. And right now, content is the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Yep.
Boots on the ground is great. You're going to talk to people at the bar. You're going to run into people at expos. You're going to run into people. But
what do they
in
talk
a world,
about? You know what they talk about? Did you see that one piece of content?
Exactly. Well, in a world where things seem to,
remember when people used to put Polaroids up at the local freaking hardware store?
Dude, they still do that a lot of places in Minnesota.
Did you see so and so's buck on the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah,
up
or
in
bass.
Up in Grand Marais, Minnesota, in the Ben Franklin store, there's still a big old.
I'm fine.
You good?
I'm just my back.
Is this what 38 is?
Yeah, it's just not good. I just need to get in there. Go ahead.
But yeah, they still got the Wall of Fame, and there's a little convenience store north of my hometown called God's Country. Okay. And same thing, they got the Wall of Fame. Everybody's got their Polaroids, and now they just print them off or whatever. But there's still old Polaroids in there. The classic buffalo plaid. Father son. Son just shot his first deer, whatever. They still have those classics hanging up. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, I love the bulletin board.
So, yeah, this has all been happening for a very long time.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just the mediums have changed. The voices have gotten louder.
I could, yeah. Where I was going originally was it just why would you not want to use the most powerful tool that we currently have in our hands to be an advocate for something that you love doing?
Yep.
I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Well, good episode, man. Thanks for driving down here.
Dude, I always love coming on. I know it's only the second time, and I know I was
but you've been
quite
here
a bit more caffeinated in the beginning of this one than the last one. But
it probably feels like you've been on a bunch because you've consumed so much of it.
Dude, I know. The whiskey mellowed out the caffeine though, so that was good. And I don't know. I've been plugging Jake Break Hollow and the guys and everything else, but you have a very incredible thing going on here. And I know you know that. And I know there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. But I mean, this is, it's so much fun to just come on and just shoot the shit about anything outdoor hunting related. There's no pressure to have to go any which way. I feel like I'm on the outdoor version of the Joe Rogan podcast when I pop in here.
Go there.
I'm not. We've already messed around with Joe Rogan memes.
I got in trouble for that the one year.
Did you really?
Well, by Greg.
I know. We filmed it.
Greg's like, you should take that down. I thought it was great.
I thought it was funny. Was that April Fool's? You've been killing it on the April Fool's ones.
I have a new April Fool's this year. I'm not going to do the weed and whitetails again for the 2 years in a row, but I could do it 30 years, and I'm assuming we get the same damn response because we keep getting more followers that haven't been exposed to this shit.
Right.
But my idea this year is, we'll see. I have an idea, and I'm working on it. And
I can't wait.
Let it be known that it is September 10th, and it will take 8 months for the April Fool's idea to come to full fruition. So
you always have been ahead of the game.
Because I love that shit.
Yeah.
I could do April Fools all day. Like, if you have a brand you want an April Fool's idea, you better come to me and I'll help you out. It's gonna take a year to work on, but we'll get it done.
We'll get it done. Yeah. That's funny. No, yeah, I just wanted to compliment you on that because you work your ass off. Every time I'm talking to you, you're busting on something else, and you've developed such incredible habits of posting consistently, and you're always on fire with being, right there with the current events and everything. So anyway, I just wanted to.
No, thanks, man.
I just wanted to throw that in your lap
one of these
too.
Days we'll share a camp, and it'll be way more fun.
Absolutely.
So I would love to make it out to West Virginia.
Yeah,
West Virginia. Or the banjo. One or the other. I don't know. And yeah, like, do the hills have eyes up there? Like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
We'll come down. We'll see.
But and even bonus if we are friends for a long time, which I imagine we will be, and my kids age up and I can bring them,
absolutely,
it'd just be really cool. And y'all are welcome here anytime. I just don't have 3,000 acres to offer up to anybody. I do. It's just public land, and good luck. So we'll see what happens.
One of the things Brian did, I know we're wrapping up, but one of the things Brian did was and is doing is some of these old historical homes, he's kind of fixing them up to be places that folks could come stay and appreciate the property
Like a
and
bed and breakfast?
experience. And yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We want to develop a lot of different things out of that. And it's like a photographer's like
Wet dream.
playground out there. So we also want to start opening doors to photo tours and things like that. But anyway, he's making accommodation areas in some of these historical
great.
buildings. So
I love it.
So you guys come on down and experience the Hollow, and we'd love to host you. You know we would. So
Yeah, well, be happy to take you up on it.
awesome.
When I have some capacity to figure out how to do that.
Someday it'll happen.
Yeah, well, I'll cash in all these social like currencies at some point. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was a fun episode. We're gonna end the live stream, and sorry. Last thing, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but it dovetails well off of this whole conservation kind of stuff we talked about. We do have stickers going live on our website soon. Probably within the week. So probably like by sometime next week they'll be live. These aren't just any sticker. These are the conservation stickers. The goal is we didn't have enough capital or funding and like time to supply chain this shit into the challenge type coins. That's the goal. So the sticker, though it's a really cool design, is really intended for a metal coin. That you would carry with you as a reminder that hunting is conservation. And the way that we at Okayest Hunter are going to incentivize hunters to be conservationists is if when you go to buy your hunting license and there's an option to donate to conservation, when you do that, send us an email of the amount and what you donated to, i.e. is it the Iowa DNR, the Wisconsin DNR, the Pennsylvania DNR, wherever you are. We're going to catalog all of that. So name, amount, which conservation effort. And in exchange, we'll give you a sticker. So like, ooh, cool, you get a sticker. In the future, it'll be a challenge coin.
Nice.
What that sticker will signify or denote is that you are a hunter that has demonstrably contributed to conservation. And so the campaign is fulfill your tag. Not fill your tag, but fulfill your tag. And hunting is conservation. So the design is meant to imbue all that goes into hunting and conservation, and the two things kind of coming together, which is a challenge to come up with because we're like, bees represent conservation, but like hunting is antler. I was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense to put together. Like, I don't think people understand, but it makes sense to me right now. So we went through a few iterations of the design, and we land on what we think we enjoy and something that will translate well to what I would call a challenge coin. And if you don't know what challenge coin is, I think people just keep in their pockets. Like if you're an AA and you don't want to drink, you have one of those. If you are into memento mori as a Stoic philosopher, you are reminded that you're going to die tomorrow. So like you could, and so you should act accordingly. This is, you're a hunter, but you're also a conservationist. And the point here is that like, I want hunters to know that we can contribute to conservation, have an impact. And so once we have everything cataloged, for anyone that's donated through their own channels, like if you're going to do it, let us know. And if you let us know, we'll give you a sticker. If you haven't done it because you've already bought your tag because some hunting season have started, you just buy a sticker and we will donate to conservation. And you can get you'll pay for the sticker. We'll pass that cost through to conservation. So because we use we're on Shopify, it's pretty sophisticated. We can do some cool shit. So we know exactly how much has been sold of a certain thing. We can take that and isolate it and segment it and yada, yada, yada. Where I'm going with this at the end of the season, what I want to do is have essentially a spreadsheet of, as a community, not Okayest Hunter, but as a community of people that follow along, of a community of hunting conservationists, we helped raise X to conservation. And so maybe that number is 5,000, maybe it's 10,000. This is year one. This is a concept, a proof of concept. If this is realized or we do it and it works to some degree of success, I don't know what to expect. I want to invite our partners and any other brands that want to be a part of this to match up to a certain percentage to conservation. So let's just say we as a collective community raise 10 grand. or prove that we have raised up to 10 grand towards conservation and cataloged it, can we get Latitude, Nosler, Muck, the people we work with, Spartan Forge, so forth, and others that maybe we're friends with?
Mhm.
You know, we seem to be pretty flirty with Tacticam reveals, even though there's no formal agreement. They've just been really cool with us.
Nice.
Others like that, as an example, can we get on the phone and say, hey, we're raising funds for conservation. If we hit this threshold, can you donate or match up to 5% of that total?
Yeah.
Can we get other companies to really rally behind this to show that hunting is in fact conservation?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So that should go live very soon. When it does, we'll email out. We have a pretty decent email list of people that have raised their hand that they'd like to see comms come from us. We'll put it out on our socials. We'll talk about it on the podcast a little bit more, but just know that from here forth into season, we'll be talking about that, and that's what it is. So fulfill your tag as a campaign. It means you're a hunting conservationist, and we're going to try to just illuminate what that looks like.
What a great initiative.
Pretty fun. Yeah, so there's that. And
I have one final question.
Yes, thank you.
If you were about to sign off.
Yeah, I will. It's fine.
How many guys can you have on the pod at one time?
On this one?
Yeah.
Well, 4.
4?
1, 2, 3, 4.
I got you.
1, 2, 3, 4 seats.
I just got to know, because next time I'm
more.
coming, I'm bringing the guys.
We could do more. It just gets tricky. And honestly, like, this is still in the basement of my house. We've not matured into our own facility. It just is what it is. I think certainly we could invest in equipment that could allow for much more. There's just not a big need. This table's small. This room is small. You know, so.
Well, we're gonna pile in and have a little party next time. Yeah. We'll get Jake and Brian
we
here.
Swap
and
people in and
whoever
out.
else. Maybe we just take
put
guys
mic
in.
on the table.
We're gonna do a Jake Break Hollow takeover.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. No, I love it. So, yeah, that's great. Thanks, Jace, for being here tonight, buddy.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor.
All right, folks. See ya.